Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Monmouth Moms podcast. I am so excited to share our guest today, which I was just mentioning before we started. I can't believe that you haven't been on before.
I know.
The Dreamcatchers are here. Monmouth County moms, Jamie Sztoser, Marissa K. Klein. Sorry.
Klein K.
Either one. They're all the same.
Thank you so much for joining.
Of course.
Tell me, so some of you who, follow us and have attended our summits will know and be very excited to probably listen to this podcast because you made both summits, hands down. I could not have done it without you.
Thank you.
Incredible panelists, speakers, just the valuable breakout sessions that you gave, and really just made the crowd laugh, and it was great. So thank you so much for that. Tell everyone who aren't familiar with you, where you're from.
Hi, everyone. Which
Hi.
way am I looking?
I don't know
way?
where I'm looking.
There.
Hey.
Hello. My name is Jamie Sztoser, and I am co-founder of the Dreamcatchers. My partner Marissa, and sister. I'm from Fairhaven in New Jersey, and we were just talking before we started that we've known each other probably from the very beginning. So why we've not been on, I'm not sure, but so happy to be here today. And should I go into what the Dreamcatchers is now, or we're going to let Marissa introduce herself first?
Yeah, just do, I guess,
Okay.
quick.
We are a full-service career consultancy, job search strategy firm. So we help people one-on-one figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And we've been recruiters and HR people and resume experts and career experts for over 2 decades, and between the two of us come at job search in very similar but different ways, and we love helping people find and chase their dream jobs. And so we've been doing that now full-time for
A couple
years, and on the side as a side hustle about 7 years now, since we launched our own podcast called the Dreamcatchers Podcast in 2018. So we've been doing this portion of our work for the last, since COVID. Right?
Yep, and we've been helping people for as long as we both can remember.
So what's the age difference between the two of you?
She's 3.5 years
400 years.
3 years, 9 months older than me.
And what did you both go to school for?
I went to school for communications at University of Michigan, Go Blue, which I love to say.
I was just in Ann Arbor last week.
No way!
Yeah.
For what?
My aunt has a lake house in Clear Lake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
my God,
we went to
amazing.
Chelsea and then Ann Arbor and stuff.
Oh, my God.
It's so pretty in the summer.
It is.
Oh my God, it's the best. I don't even know. I've been to Ann Arbor in the summer probably once. You know what I mean? Because I was home.
Why would you? Yeah.
But I went to Michigan for communications, and we'll probably get into this, but came out with pretty much no idea what to do, got into PR because that's what I thought I wanted to do.
Okay.
But yeah, I went to school for communications when I was a wee lad at Michigan, 2003.
I was the first person in the Northeast that wanted to go to school in the South.
Oh.
And everybody
you
has been
started
following my
Started the
student.
trend.
You're both from
We're from Bergen County.
Bergen County, New Jersey.
Okay.
I went to University of Richmond and had a double major in business and marketing.
Okay.
I wanted to work in beauty. Richmond had a phenomenal business school, and their idea of anything creative was having me work in a marketing department at a bank, which didn't suit me.
Ironically, my first job was in beauty, which
Yes.
was not what I wanted. I wanted music, but we both tripped and fell a few times.
So we grew up in a time where hustle was real, and in order to chase a dream job, you really needed to figure it out. And even though, ironically, on paper, we had all of the pieces. We were raised in a family business that was focused on staffing and recruitment. My father owned a company since 1974 named Choice Associates. And that was a full-service staffing agency based in Midtown Manhattan with several offices. And at no point did he have a creative division or anything fun or flirty
That could help
us. So I did all 4 of my internships undergrad at Richmond in the beauty industry through connections that I found on my own. And then when I graduated, the staffing firm, even though I went to a good school and had the double degree and did all the internships and had a father that owned a staffing firm, I still didn't have a job.
Interesting.
So I think one of the things that makes the Dreamcatchers special or relatable or authentic or all of the things that Jamie and I both scream is that it happened to us too. And even though we are living in a time where there's so much more at our fingertips. That doesn't mean that just because it's at our fingertips, it's navigatable, user-friendly, or easy to figure out.
Right.
And so although time has changed and things have changed, the actual work of getting yourself in the right place at the right time is still very difficult for a lot of people. And we were perfect examples of having all of the right things and still needing
Help.
to make our own magic.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what Jamie and I have been doing the last few years, which light us both up, is helping others to figure out how to make their own magic.
Yeah.
Because it is something that is hard to come by. And when we talk about self-care, mental health, all the things that are really important to all of us now as a culture, the thing that doesn't get talked about, which probably pays for all of it literally and figuratively, is work.
Right.
And career. And whether or not we like our jobs, feel content, see our loved ones content, all of those messages are the potion that craft your way to wherever you're going.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really, really struggle with it and have absolutely no idea how to get out of their own way. And somehow or another, from a recipe of our own beautiful disasters, we've gotten really good at it.
Oh, yeah. No, they're ultimate connectors for sure.
Yeah.
The ultimate, and you know what? Unbeknownst to us, we were just being ourselves.
Yeah. But
And
Right?
now we're just teaching other people how
Yes.
to do it for themselves.
No,
Right.
we're teaching others to do it themselves. You don't
Correct.
need me to do it for you.
Yep.
You need to do it for yourself. So
That's
we
exactly right.
teach people how to figure it out
yeah.
at whatever level they're at.
Part of one of the reasons that I was so passionate when I created the initial summit that we did a couple years ago was that I have always loved to work, right? But I know that I'm not like I don't think that's as common, right? I don't know a lot of people like me, to be honest. And I find comfort in work, and I think maybe part of it is more just something that is something I like to control, right? Something that I can control when
Absolutely.
I'm working. I feel in control because I am I am creating my own destiny, and I can make my own money, and it's just more of it's a comfort zone where if I'm working and I can just keep doing that. But some other people, like you said, there's a narrative right now that you have to check all these boxes, self-care, wellness, and be all of these things, and that people I could see completely being so lost in what they want to do, or they had a bad experience with an employer, and they just it left they feel that they're not valued or whatever, or their confidence levels here, and getting into a role they are going to say to themselves why not that's not for me, or they wouldn't want me there or whatever. And I think part of so many of the things that I really wanted to do with the summit was empower moms, women, whatever what you want to say it is, to that they have the opportunity to find the role that is meant for them, right?
Absolutely.
And it's really just kind of clearing out all that noise and really kind of
1,000%.
right.
And with the dream job, by the way, which we were focused when we were doing our summit with you, or the Pillar event this spring with you, we're focused on our beautiful community, our microcosm of community.
Right.
But the truth is this messaging is not just us here; it is anywhere.
Totally.
The dream job, the definition of the dream job changes as we grow. So I always say this to our clients. Jamie, and as I mentioned, she was my younger sister, or still is my younger sister, thank God. She wanted to work in music, and still to this day would want to be a backup dancer for Justin Timberlake or Janet Jackson.
Very true.
It is her passion. She still absolutely follows suit for all things dance. The other night we were at our friend's wedding vow renewal, and she was lighting it up from within in the middle of the dance floor, no cocktail, having the time of her life. And how do you channel that?
Into a job.
Into a job.
And I always say to my younger clients when we speak to college students and new grads, it's we were at Monmouth University last week talking to high school students about career, and one of the things I said to the audience is my dream job was to be a dancer. And I said, what is another word for dancer? And everyone, there's a couple people that raised their hand, some of which I'm not sure what the answers were, and one was a performer.
Yeah.
And I said, at that time I was holding a mic. Right now, right, I'm holding a mic. I'm like, am I currently performing? And they said, you are, right? I'm just in front of a classroom and I'm motivating a different type of audience with a different type of medium.
Right.
But I'm still performing. So what we try to do is encourage our clients to really look within, like what lights you up, what makes you you.
Yeah.
And
not have
so
those,
just
like-
because I don't work in dance doesn't mean I haven't found elements of being on stage, having a mic, being in an audience, being in front of an audience, inspiring others with what I have to give. That's what dance is, and that's what I do now.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, whether it's in a public, speaking setting or on our podcast or one-on-one with our clients.
Yep. And every person that we work with is different.
Yeah.
Because we're all human, right? We each get to our results and our pathways our own way.
Yeah.
So if you are a local community member or an avid listener, follower, or user of the Monmouth Moms community, chances are your definition of a dream job right now is very different than it might have been at 21 or 22
Or
years
you're
old.
looking to start your own thing, which
Yes.
is also really overwhelming.
And-
as we both know, as
Right.
mompreneurs.
And we try to meet our clients where they are. And we try to get to the results. So sometimes our clients, the dream job is no longer having a 5-day-a-week commute. The dream job is working hybrid. The dream job is completely pivoting. The dream job is
starting your own
starting
business.
our own business. Whatever it is to get from home base to first that we need to help clean up, Jamie and I are randomly excellent at it.
So curious, how many of your clients are, is it like there's a lot of talk about this dream job and like, not having the Sunday scaries and like really what lights you with it. And I resonate with all of that. That's kind of, how I felt about Monmouth Moms. When I first started it, it was a side hustle.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was going to turn into what it is. And I was still working in sales. I'd pivoted a little bit outside of wine and I was working in, I've told the story a million times on the podcast. So sorry if this is like the 80th time you've heard this story, but
You're just making it very good. You're very good at knowing your whole bio.
Totally.
but I went for 2 years. I sold software engineer. It was for CAD for engineers, like AutoCAD. But
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
that. We know that from the fashion
Yeah,
world.
they use AutoCAD
They use that
for
to like draw shoes.
tech design.
So they'll
Yeah.
use also something called SolidWorks.
Yeah, sure.
So right. So that was the bane of my existence. My husband used
Those
to
are two key words for your resume, FYI. If
Yeah,
you
put
have
that on your
those.
skills section if
Yeah.
you know how to do it.
If they're not on your skills section, you will get missed in a search. Sorry, we'll come back to that. Go ahead.
So I did it for 2 years because my husband kept saying, if you can sell anything. I don't believe that. I think there are certain things that you can sell. I think that there are certain things that are transactional in certain sales environments that you can if you have certain skill sets and certain levels. I personally could never sell medical device because I just don't. I don't understand science as well. You need to know. You need to be able to go into an OR oftentimes and talk to a doctor on a level that's going to make him comfortable, but also you need to be well versed. That's not a role that I ever saw myself doing, was capable of, maybe, but it's just maybe overall didn't interest me. So I really pushed myself in this role for 2 years. I worked with this company who, by the way, probably one of the best, maybe second best company I've ever worked for. They taught me an immense amount. Their culture was great. They were really uplifting, incredibly inspirational people.
Right, there you go. And things about that job became the dream job, even though the content wasn't the dream job.
So it did not ever become, and I kept pushing. I said, if it was anything else, I probably would have stayed. And actually, they sold, so I wouldn't have stayed. But but it was great, and they pushed me into zones that I was uncomfortable with, right? Like speaking in front of a big crowd and like delivering these mission statements that were, you had to like go and do all these team building things. That was never my MO. I was just not like that. I'm much more of an outlier. I'd always like to do the things that were like, yeah, like I'll do this or whatever.
Sure.
But like it taught me a lot, right? So I took so much from it, and I think everything in life is a stepping stone, and I think that everything that you do in life is teaching you things that you just don't know at the time, and it's just going
100% agree with you.
guide you in the right direction. But so I did that for 2 years, and so I'd have this office. It was in Clark. I hope they don't listen to this, but
You said some positive stuff.
No, you were saying nice things.
Very nice things.
We're here to validate.
And I was always gravitating towards Monmouth Moms. So I was like, push him. I'm like, all right, just study more of this product. Try to sell it to engineers, because engineers, by the way, most of them hate change, right? So if you are like trying to get them to, change their routine up, it's like, what? So they had like, they did when they check in and check out, and that was it. So I was like terrible at convincing them to do. I was like, you know what? No, it's fine. You guys just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, you keep doing whatever software you're using.
And I was like, and all this stuff about like simulation and this and that. I was like, what the hell? This is it was Chinese to me. It was complete Chinese. So I tried, and it ultimately just didn't work. But I kept going to Monmouth Mom, so I'm like, I could do this, and it was very early stages, and I knew we needed something in the community, because I'd been a mom, in the community for a long time at that point. I just didn't know what, and I just kept building it and doing it, and it didn't feel like work, right? So then COVID happened, and during COVID, and my husband was like, just do it full time, and I was like, no. I didn't identify as like an entrepreneur. I didn't identify as like someone that would do that, right? I was just like, no, I work in sales. That's my thing, like this is what I do. And then I don't know, I just did it. And like when they say, well, you jump, you fly, or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I did it, and now it's what it is. It's just like complete
a beast.
chaos.
Yes.
A beast. But like I think that there's so much to be said about like what you want to do with your life and what you feel comfortable doing, right? But then also, like a lot of people don't say, and they'll get back to my original question, is like how often are people convinced, or no, sorry, like really interested in the salary? Because like no one wants to talk about money, but you really need to,
Absolutely.
to make money.
That's a great question. And
So-
the thing is that we preach or teach and coach is that the first step of our method, we call it the Dreamcatcher method. It's 4 steps. It is not rocket science or brain surgery at all. I mean, many of these steps, many of these elements are things that people are doing already on their own, but they just might need a little boost in the right direction. No different
call it
than
Botox.
Yeah, like a little professional Botox, or like a personal trainer for your job search, right? Where you're like, I know what I want to do, or perhaps you have no idea. Like a lot of people are like, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't know what I'm good at. And so what we start with, our first step is what we call dream intuition. Marissa typically leads it. It's an hour-long kind of life coaching session, if you want to call it that, of like, all right, let's talk about what it is that we are actually good at. What are our professional superpowers? What interests us? But also the nitty-gritty. As almost 2 decades of recruitment has taught us, the dream job is very often defined by what it is that you need. Like, what's your commute need to look like? What's the money need to look like? Because then with that information all in a package, we can help you identify the types of roles, whether locally or hybrid or remote, that you could do for the money that you need.
And
But
by
is
the
money,
way,
like, not always the biggest factor.
Not always,
No.
but for a lot of people it needs to be, unfortunately.
depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets very interesting with coming to people like Jamie and I. So we live in this world where we're all supposed to be talking about things, right? We're all supposed to be communicating and talking, and all we do is scroll and looking at everybody's
Authenticity.
their authenticity online. There are still some things in the world that, it's very few, but there's still some things that have a lot of stigma and that are still considered somewhat hands-off
Right.
in conversation. And what happens
One of which is how much you make for a living.
Compensation, and the reality of what goes on behind closed doors in each person's home. Okay? So we have to get into that. That's something that we have to get into. So here's something that's interesting.
Okay.
When we were still at Choice, which I didn't say that part, but I ended up going into the family staffing business and creating a solution.
And dragging me along.
And I dragged her
Yes.
along. It's a long story. If you listen to our 90 podcast, you'll hear a version of it every time, episodes. But I, after several years of beauty, turned into fashion, turned into my resume looked like Devil Wears Prada, threw up on it. I ended up going to my dad and saying to him, I want to open a staffing focused division on fashion, beauty, creative. And he said no, and then I did it for 18 years and brought Jamie with me. So it was a whole to-do.
By the way, I was supposed to cover her maternity leave for 3 months because I was in between, and next thing you know, it was 13 years later.
Let's just say this is the story, but it happened over a course of 18, almost 20 years, and now we're doing this. But it was in their blood, and when it's in your blood, sometimes it's hard to
Turn it off.
Yes. So one of the things that happened in state law in the last 5 to 7 years, I think, in New York and New Jersey, is you are no longer, as an employer, entitled to post a position without an accurate salary. And also, as a job seeker, you no longer have to say something out loud that is not in line with the salary that's posted. Okay? So that actually, what does that mean? Nothing's actually changed because now people just say the wrong range of salary and then people say the wrong thing. Whatever. But aside from that, when we're having an intimate conversation behind closed doors in the Dreamcatcher orbit, we have to go there. Right? So like if we have a client that is recently divorced, and these are real stories for Monmouth moms, okay? If you're recently divorced and you need to earn X amount of money in order to
Pay your mortgage
or contribute to what the court has now decided for you, it is sometimes very difficult to get to that number that is needed when you haven't necessarily had several years of work experience in a minute. Okay? Now, to the other point, you have people returning to the workforce or wanting to return to the workforce or wanting to pivot in the workforce and can't earn a certain amount because it's going to upset their taxes in our grown-up lives. These are real hard conversations for a lot of our clients. Okay, then you take that aside and we just get down to the nitty-gritty of a job seeker. In the New York metropolitan area, money is everything, whether or not we want it to be true.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's every single thing.
I don't care what anyone says. You know what? Life is free. It's gotten so
expensive.
It's
very expensive.
Every single thing.
And the thing is, I want to just say this that's really important to remember. We joked about my dream job being a backup dancer for Justin Timberlake, and of course that was my dream job. And you know, when you're talking to, which we do a lot of, students or kids, or what do you want to be when you grow up, the definition of a dream job, which Marissa alluded to earlier, can change based on your reality, right? So just because I need to earn a certain amount of money and I love dance doesn't mean I can't find something that feeds my soul in some way and also earns money.
And that's what we try to teach.
What people give up very easily is that piece of who they actually are. So like, right before I got here, I was on the phone with somebody talking about having no idea what they want to be and what they're good at and how to get there. But if you actually paused and I asked her this, what are you interested in, right? Like, what do you like? Like, what brands are you into? Like, what do you follow? What brands are you following on Instagram? Like, this is what I mean by dream, right? So I mean, like,
sometimes people get too deep.
Like, I love the idea of you like wanting to be a drummer, like my brother-in-law professionally, but like, is that really realistic, right? Especially at 44, 34, 24 years old, if that's not the route that you took, fine. But let's get you closer based on who you are as a human being, what makes you tick, what you're good at, what makes you excited, what are you passionate about? Is it being in a creative environment? Like you said earlier, that was not your dream job. But you were surrounded by people who you enjoyed being around with great support and great training. And that, for some people, could be the dream job. Totally. Like, I just want to be in a good environment with people I like. I don't really care what I'm doing. Or people could say to me, I need to earn 6 figures, and I don't care what I'm doing. Or people could say, I don't really need to earn that much because I'm a dual income household. Or, right? So we just kind of navigate that together.
And this is a story that we've heard since the beginning of time. My friends graduated already. They had a job from January. They're going to be in the city. They already have roommates. I'm not going to be able to get an apartment. I'm not going to be able to live with anybody. The world is going to start without me. Okay, that's, by the way, the same story that's been told since the 90s and the 80s. And actually the 70s, although I was just born. But the point is, this is New York. The New York tri-state area dictates life choices by real estate, money, and location. These are 3 major players, 3 characters in the storyline, if you will. So if you want to live in Hoboken, or you're 22 years old and you want to get a job in the city, are you commuting? Are you going in? Who are you living with? How are you going to afford your rent? Will your parents help support you? Are you going to have credit card debt?
And by the way, we just worked with a client
real things.
based in Ohio that wanted to work in fashion in New York City, and we got her here. And she's living in New York City because of a lot of the work that we did together, because so much of this conversation, whether you are a college student through, my peer or older than me that's looking for work in some way, a lot of these conversations are not ones, Marissa says this all the time, that your therapist can maybe help you with, that your spouse can help you with, that your parent understands. And so instead of leaning on those people, what we have done is create a business model to be that ear for you.
Yes.
So whether you are...
We're a specialized professional self-care therapist, magic making duo experts.
For job search in
specifically
itself,
this.
yes.
Okay. So, and we say these words like we said life coaching, we've said the word coaching or empowering. I mean, that's just vernacular. I'm not a certified coach. Okay? If I meet somebody and I feel like they need more,
we'll refer out.
I refer out to many talented women
one of
or
my
men that are
one of our
coaches.
followers who loves us and is one of our biggest fans, like a Kate from the beginning, reached out to me recently, and she comments on all my things, posts, comments on all my posts, and I think we're pretty clear now of what we're doing. And she said, "Do you know a resume writer?" And I almost cried. I'm like, that is what I do. But because we are not showcasing that in the way that if you were to Google, which is another conversation for a different day, SEO, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, yes, you can hire a resume writer. You can hire like Marissa was saying, a life coach. There's a lot of buzzwords out there that are more common than what we are doing. Mm-hmm. We are the only people that we know that do this work in our area of New Jersey. We are trying to change the way people look for work because what we do is very unique. It is a job search coach.
And it shouldn't be.
search
We're looking for
coach.
Competition.
Yeah.
Meaning this should be this should be par for the course.
Yeah, and the colleges aren't doing enough of it, no offense, and the career centers are not doing enough of it.
No, in high school guidance counselor.
Guidance counselor. So what's happened...
Because everybody can only get you. It's no one's fault.
Well,
everyone can only get you so far.
You're responsible for
And
so
most students don't take advantage of the career center. I know we're going to all the different tabs, the moms, the grown-ups, the kids, whatever. And it is all the same, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're in college, chances are, what's our statistic?
Under 20% of students go to their career center and actually use it.
And to be fair, I went to a very prestigious school. I would go to the career center, and at the career center, because I went to a small boutique school, so school was important.
Yeah.
School community was important. Camaraderie about future was important. The mainstay of being at a boutique school like University of Richmond was the fact that I was at University of Richmond. That's the brand.
Okay.
So of course you use the platforms that they have. Of course you use the networking. Of course you talk to your professors because that's what we did there, right? That was our culture.
Yeah.
But I would go to those things, and and they've come a long way because they're really proud of what they do for their career search. But you'd go to a career counselor at college, and a lot of those people never actually worked in a career. How is that translatable?
Yeah.
Right? So,
Or kids these days are going to these southern schools or Midwestern schools like I did. And the relationships that these colleges have, they don't have the relationships in New York, which is where I wanted to go back to. So yeah, I could go there and take a course or maybe do my resume, but at the end of the day, I was still tasked with finding my own journey in New York with a dad who did this for a living and still couldn't help me.
Yeah.
We figured it out though, and now we're helping other people figure it out.
So, and I think you asked a question, or somewhere along the line we're saying something about hiring a resume writer, or you mentioned it. And so again, we offer that service, but our key wording is we help you to write your resume. We don't do it for you, we do it with you.
Yeah.
There's a very, very big difference because one of the problems for most people, not just Gen Z or millennials, even some Gen X, if you don't do this stuff for yourself, you can't sell yourself accordingly in person. And the truth is until getting a job is no longer about you being there in person to get that job, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Or at least on Zoom.
Yes.
Or over
you have to study for the test if you're taking the exam.
Right.
It's the same thing. Yeah. And a lot of our culture or society removes it from doing it yourself to giving it to others. So ironically, we're providing a service where you're giving it to someone else to give back to yourself.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
But that's why I always say it's like personal training or nutrition, right? If you go to a nutritionist and they give you something to kind of follow or take out of your diet or add into your diet, they're not standing at your fridge with you.
It's up to
They
you.
leave. It's up to you.
You eat the chia.
Yeah. If you don't stand there and make the good choices and figure it out on your own, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's what it is about job search, that people get. It gets cloudy that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So I'd assume you also work with like interview skill set.
Yeah, so depending on what the person needs. So we'll do like an intake, and every conversation is different. I like to say all of our clients are like snowflakes, right? Every single person needs something different from us. Sometimes it's resume, sometimes it's LinkedIn, sometimes it's both, sometimes it's strategy overall, sometimes it's the intuition step. Sometimes we do what we call house calls, which are just like one-on-one, half hour, 45-minute, like, I just need you. I don't know why, but I feel like I need a little extra help before I walk into this interview, before I call this person back.
Like a little bit of dream on demand.
Like a dream on demand. Or like oftentimes it's negotiating a salary, like an offer. You know, they get overwhelmed by wanting to do that. And a lot
That happened the other day.
People don't realize that there are people out there like us that they can lean on for things like that. Instead, they're getting advice from people that don't understand the climate.
Yeah. It's I think such a special gift that you have, because I know someone who was going through a hard time and they were trying to get a job, and it was endless, honestly. It just kept going on. And
Sure.
not getting every single job. And I don't know if it's, maybe I just had a good run. I don't know if I can categorize myself as someone that interviews well.
It's possible.
But
A lot of people.
I think I do, just because I prepped I think I've gotten like 95% of the jobs that I've like wanted
Interviewed
to,
for,
over the years, and I just, all I would ever be able to like say
But there
to
was
them,
5%.
It was, of course. So,
And you remember them.
But here's the difference.
But they weren't aligned for you anyway.
That, and also I didn't really want those jobs.
Exactly.
So, and that's what I kind of would say to them. I was like kind of coaching them. I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of, when I want anything, like, and anyone, right? And like when you want something, you inevitably find a way to get it, right? And if it, like, you really deep down, I think, really want it. And I would just go in with like, not a clipboard, but essentially sometimes I would, of like, all right, so what's going on, and like what is happening, what type, like what day do I go on Tuesdays, and what's this, like I covered as much as I could. I went in there acting like I already worked there, basically, and not in like
Same.
a obnoxious way, but in like a, I'm excited, I really want to work here, like how do we make this happen, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and that comes naturally to you as a salesperson and somebody that
Yes.
has your personality. And I think a lot of people that come to us that come from a sales background
Really pick up
what
our
we're
method.
putting down pretty easily. But there are a lot of people out there, in fact, probably like 75% of our clients that have never sold before in their life anything. And now the
And when
product
you are
is
not
you.
a natural, by the way, we're all three cut from the same cloth. Okay,
Right.
So I say the analogy: there are two types of people all the time, and it's always about multiple types of people.
Yeah.
But like, there are two kinds of salespeople, just the way you were describing before. I say that I'm one kind. I don't sell ice cream to Eskimo because an Eskimo doesn't need it.
Right.
They know how to use ice. I am the same way as you. If I'm not passionate or don't align with it, I can't sell it.
Right.
I could sell anything.
Yeah.
If I believe in it.
Right.
Same.
But I also am the type of personality, and this is like, in HR, Jamie comes from traditional HR back in the day, where they can do like a personality assessment, and that stuff fascinates me. There are some people you can stick a microphone in their hand and they can get up in front of 500 people and they don't blink. Me. Right? I also have a very low social battery, and after today probably
Same.
can't go out tonight even though we're supposed to.
It's
Right?
So, oh my God, I'm the same way.
She can go. I'm
are
an
you
extrovert.
Cancers?
Yeah,
She's a
I am.
Cancer.
Oh,
I'm a borderline Cancer.
okay.
I'm a Gemini Cancer. I'm two kinds of crazy, if you'd like.
Why?
Because
Because you're like on the 20th?
I'm a 21.
Oh, I'm the 26th. So I'm much more like a Cancer.
Yeah.
But I'm very much the same. Like today I had back-to-back podcasts, and I'm like, because last week I had lost my voice, so I had to cancel his, which was the day before. And then I was like, why did I schedule these 2 days? Like, got a bat, But then like later I'll be like,
Yeah,
so
you're
you
done.
put all of your energy into
Yeah,
stuff.
this is it. When
It's like
I'm
when
present,
you have
I'm present.
Yeah.
And then I'm done.
At a big meeting, I'm like depleted the rest of the day.
And I think that there's a lot of people that can identify with that. And I also think that the concept, what we were saying earlier about like you didn't want those jobs anyway, there's an interviewing skill that we've coached for years that, the goal though is for you to make the person that's interviewing you feel that that's the job you want. And
Right,
that's
because
a hard,
you never know if something else could come up there. So if you bring good energy and it's the practice, and
or that person says to you, oh, you know what? You're not a fit for this, but my husband works at blah, 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 and he's looking for an assistant. And you never know what happens if you just go on that interview. So we always coach anyway to go, so the answer to your question is yes, we prep for interviews as well. It depends on what the person needs, is the truth.
Right, and there are all different types of people in career, right? So you mentioned before you were selling toward engineers.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily going to have inherently, they're brilliant humans, but they're not necessarily going to have the social acumen.
Oh my God, they wanted nothing to do with me.
Of
They're
course.
like, please, she's just
Please
talking
leave.
at me. Get away from me.
Yes. 1,000%. So but that doesn't mean that they don't need the same accoutrements in prepping to network and get themselves out there. So the system, or our system, our Dreamcatchers method, is really only 4-pronged. And it really is, I don't want to say it wrong,
Industry agnostic.
and age agnostic. So experience, it literally what we became experts in, and yes, when I opened up Choice, it was Choice Fashion and Media, it was focused on fashion. It was focused on the New York City cool jobs because that's what I was good at, right? And maybe if I had been smarter, I would have focused on like biotech or, placed Kate at medical sales because then I would have made money
Made a
for
little bit more
longer
money.
and not all of my clients would have closed and all of the things that happen in the fashion industry. But what ended up happening at Choice was anything that came into our company that was outside of our traditional business models, whether it was not legal and it was not finance and it was not travel and it was not hospitality and it was not data entry, all of a sudden there'd be a knock on my door and I would be cleaning up or figuring out how to place a good person there. And it no longer became fashion. And it was no longer beauty. And it was no longer marketing or digital or media. It became about finding good people. And knowing people is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And both Jamie and I are excellent at it.
Yeah, and we just posted an article right before I walked in here. You'll see it on our social. That was just on NBC News on Thursday about the job market right now, especially for new grads, and the concept of the black hole, which we've all said those words at some point in our job search journey. And it's no different. And just because AI and the tariffs or whatever reason people feel this job market is different, it's the same story. I graduated right after 9/11. There was no jobs. There was 2008. There's no jobs. So it's not about the market, and it's
not about the noise.
It's more about the mindset, and that's what we help people figure out.
And I'm not saying it's not bad out
So
there.
important though, because you can you'll have lasting impacts. Like you shift someone's mindset and
About
it's
how it all works.
Well, but it's easy to kind of, when you're like really
In it.
right? And then all of a sudden you're like 2 weeks later and you're like fear based and everything is not that, right?
Well, of course.
right? But like you make these like impacts on people to like really change their lives.
Here's 2 sentences that I can say flat out, carte blanche. And if I gift anybody in the community some freedom today, it's the following. 2 things. If you are a middle-level executive and you are not 25 years old, I'm not aging anybody, but if you are a middle-level executive and you've been working for 15 plus years and you get laid off today, you are not going to have a job in the first 3 months unless you get really lucky.
Wow.
So you need to figure out your severance, your unemployment, and you need to say to yourself, I do not suck. All of my friendships and all of my professional relationships do not suck. The world is not over, but this is going to take a minute.
Okay.
And if you are in your 40s, and if you are in your 50s, which by the way is not old anymore,
No, it's
but
not.
still considered old in the workplace,
Okay.
which is gross, but it's true. If you are a 50-year-old middle-aged professional and you get laid off, you are out for 6 months.
Wow.
Sorry. It's the truth. And I think that people need to understand that so that they can go to bat with energy that's better.
Yeah, and I think also just to that point.
And it doesn't mean, hold on, I just want to clear that up for a minute. It doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm just saying you expect worse so that you can prepare and be methodical. Also, wait, before you interrupt, the second thing is, if you have a rising, because this is one of our major focuses, if you have a rising senior in college, moms out there,
Junior
dads
or
out
senior.
there, juniors or senior, but internships are for junior, senior year in college. If you have a senior in college that is not going to go for law, pharmaceutical, accounting, CPA, consulting, or medicine, which is majority of kids, by the way, that are not going to do that, they will not have a job before they graduate. Done. How about that? That is a very important freedom for an emotional barrier for people that are experiencing the last year of their childhood pretty much, and their parents that really want to support them but feel the pressure of their child coming home and not having that job. Chances of anybody hiring anyone in a creative capacity, and when I say creative, I'm using that loosely. I'm saying a non-traditional, pre-law, engineering, accounting, true field. You are not going to get a job before you graduate.
And so just to piggyback on that,
most likely.
To wrap that piece up, I think, what can you be doing, though, in those months leading up potentially to a layoff?
Exactly.
What can you be doing in the months leading up to your first internship?
So that you are proactively prepared on how to navigate this experience rather than feeling like everything feels so heavy, so cumbersome, and so reactive.
So what we do is a proactive networking approach. It's like if you know you want to maybe work in beauty and you're a freshman in college or a sophomore in college even, no different than the college counselors educate the high school students on how to look for the colleges that work for them. You better be connected to those beauty companies on LinkedIn, and what do you do and who do you connect to and how do you say it? And that's the work that we end up doing with those college
kids. And we try to put people in the mindset of being in the right place at the right time, which takes work, by the way. It's not luck, it's effort, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. And by the way, I was not being negative before. I'm trying to liberate people from, I think, some of the hardest parts of job search, whether you're just graduating or you're laid off or you're scared to make a move, is that the rejection or the black hole takes over, where if you were to just truly understand that it takes a while.
Or maybe what's going on the inside.
Yes, and you pace better and you prepare emotionally for the lack of interest and maybe create interest of your own.
Yeah.
It will allow you to feel like you're in the driver's seat more.
Absolutely.
Which is
It's
what we're trying to teach.
when your kids are, I think someone's kids.
She has somebody that's a little older.
In theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a singer, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, right. So
By the way, I'm screwed. So by the way, everybody, so here I am. I've done this my whole life,
Right.
okay? I have a kid that wants to be
a pop star.
Right.
literally,
same.
we're coming for Charlie Puth. Like, we're on our way, okay? Her focus is super narrow, and that's
It's
really
great.
challenging
Yeah.
for someone that has been...
We've got her to at least consider working in the music business.
Okay, so that's what I've told my daughter's all in on
Yeah.
being a famous
Which, by the way,
actress.
I don't... There's
Right.
so much...
There's other ways to
yes.
fill that bucket. Take it from me. I was a very talented dancer and still am.
I said, honey, that's fine, but one, we're gonna have to develop some very thick skin. Two,
Yeah, we can't get mad when someone says something not nice.
yeah, no, well, she's fine with that, but I think more just auditioning and stuff.
Yeah,
and
the
you
no.
know, all of it, right? The
Yes,
no, right?
yep.
And that having, like you said, having that perspective of knowing that is probably going to be most common, right? And that it's not impossible, and that
It's not impossible.
1,000% believe in you. We want you to, to be that too, but also A, that, B, also there's not going to be any Justin Bieber shit. So we're going to do maybe become an actress after you go to school kind of thing. I'm not.
Yeah, we're not doing it now.
I'm not positioning her. And I'm not giving. There's no auditions when you're 10. Sorry, that happening.
Yeah,
By the way,
that's a full-time job for you. And
Yeah, and also that I don't
You have a
know.
also, we can talk about this offline.
Right.
But yes, you are 100% right.
Right.
And I would say that one of the things that's also interesting about the generation coming up, and these are our community moms raising these kids, right?
Right.
We as a society are asking these kids for whether it's real or not. This is what I have a rising junior, so I don't know this yet, guys.
In high school.
I will find this out in high school. I will find this out this year. Somehow or another, the college world is asking us to declare our major. Now, I don't know if it's just for the social media blitz of I got into this school or I'm going to major in this, and I don't know actually if they're going to major in that. Truth. But for me, I couldn't declare my major as business and marketing until after I took 2 years of courses at Richmond. But now when you see the social media for colleges, it's so competitive that people are literally saying that they're applying to a specific school or they're defining themselves as this major. And I think that's equally as difficult if you're not my daughter or your daughter that already has a real passion, to say to a 17-year-old that doesn't know what their passion is.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like colleges are doing that from a business standpoint.
It is.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's a business.
And then
it's
how do you
just-
navigate that when you're out? That's what we're trying to help them do.
Right.
And then all of this noise contributes to the stress.
Yeah.
And it is very, very extra.
Yeah. On the my previous guest today is the owner of Head Over Heels Gymnastics, Jason Bauer, and he's had a lot of experience in recruiting and has done all kinds of different things working with obviously competition, right? So I had so many questions about that world, right? And kids positioning themselves, going through all this, these travel sports, right? And I know. I talked about it. I have certain opinions about it too, but I'm trying to be very.
That's a different episode.
That's an after-hours episode.
Yeah, exactly. That is. But I'm curious, right? Because he's really knowledgeable and had a lot of information to give that I didn't know, just about parents' mindsets, right, when they decide to sign their kids up for these different things, and then what the expectations are, why kids are really, are they doing it to get into a specific school? Do they really love playing? He said most of the time it's the school. It's really not the playing. They do enjoy playing, but they're not going there to they.
Yeah, so we like to say, especially around here, whether we like to admit it or not, where we live, these parents are spending.
I don't even think it's us. I
but
think
it's
everywhere,
everywhere, right? Just in general, the metropolitan area or anywhere. But I even have friends in the Midwest and California and Florida that have similar sentiment. It's we spend all this time and energy and money on the activities, time, right? On the activities, and then when we get to high school, on the this and the tutorings and the this and all of it to get into these amazing schools, because that's for a lot of people the goal, right?
But then what do you do with it?
And then what do you do? And no one is
mind you,
helping them figure that out.
And I think, honestly, the parents are tired.
By that point, the parents have done this for 22 years.
And they want to be it's your turn.
Let us take it on.
And at that point, and what do you do with it? I mean, I know people that are Ivy League graduates and are, I don't want to say not the brightest people. It's just that I am confused as to how they
got to where they are.
Well, their career path has been confusing to me.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, it is. It's confusing.
I'm confused. Whenever Jamie says that, it usually means something else.
It means I'm annoyed at whatever is going on.
It's just confusing.
It's not what I would have, maybe perhaps I thought it was more about leveraging, the network, all of it. I don't know. It's just it's an interesting thing that we do. We put our kids in this position, right? There's so much pressure and stuff, and I said to my son, when he was going through all of his stuff, and I always said, I don't care what you do, honey, but you have to be able to support yourself. Bottom line, that is it. And I want you to be happy. I want you to feel fulfilled. That might come after, but in the beginning, you're going to just have to work your butt off and put yourself in, in situations uncomfortable situations, find out what you don't like, right? And figure it, okay, I didn't really love working for that guy or doing this kind of thing, but you kind of over time gravitate towards both, and the best case scenario is that you are able to support yourself and love going to work every day. I think that's the absolute,
that is the ultimate.
It is the ultimate goal. I mean, when you truly think about life, the gift of life, right? Because life is not easy.
Nope.
There's a lot of highs, there are a lot of lows, and the things that make it beautiful are not really the things that we're talking about, right? So, I think for most of us, or at least in this room, we are on a path of, we wanted the family, we wanted the more traditional, whatever the definition of tradition is anymore, where, I have 2 kids, I work and I'm a mom, and, the goal is to have a comfortable, healthy, long life where we can enjoy and travel, live and be and feel good. That is what life is when you get to your 40s and you say to yourself, okay, everything's okay, right?
Yeah.
When you're 25, it's travel, it's different. You're maybe not tied down. Maybe it's, I don't know necessarily if I want to have kids, or maybe all those things are still question marks.
Yeah.
So meeting somebody where they are, saying to your son, you need to support yourself. Meanwhile, that's kind of all you need to say.
Yeah.
Because it's not equal opportunity. Not everybody's answer is everyone else's answer.
Right.
right?
And that's why we always say that our clients are like snowflakes, because everybody needs something else about their, like in terms of their career journey in general.
Answer.
In general. So I think overall,
mail.
what?
The mail's going back out.
Oh, the mail.
door.
I just, you know, I feel like that, and that's why we help pretty much anybody that needs our help, because everybody needs us in different ways, and that's why I think we've been so successful doing this work, and we love it so much.
Yeah, I love it. I could talk about this all day. I'm sorry.
It is really, when you're talking about it this way and we're zoomed out a little bit, it is really fascinating and really fun.
Yeah.
And it does light me up. Like, listen, like we walked out of, when was Pillar?
April?
It feels like a gazillion years ago, but it was only, like 4 months ago.
Yeah, it was like the beginning of spring, right?
It was April 11th.
Okay.
April 3rd.
I know, because I remember like you're picking out an outfit's like transition,
May, June,
like
July,
an in
August, 4
between.
months
Like you
ago.
don't want to be wintry, but you don't want to be summery yet. So anyway, we walk out of Pillar, and I look at Jamie, and I'm like, I could do that
All day.
all day, every day. Like it is the most
It is.
fun,
It was fun. Yeah.
rewarding thing. Like having conversations like this, where you're actually saying something with meaning and hoping that it lands for somebody, and that
Inspiring
and
people.
expiring and
Yeah.
people. I mean, I can't even tell you how many DMs or
You did.
LinkedIn.
Everyone was so excited and happy and learned so much from you.
It's such a compliment, because the truth is we're just
being yourself.
yeah, we're
Being
just being
ourselves.
Miley.
Yeah,
We're
right.
just being
Miley.
Miley. Like this is just us, right? So when you're in that moment and you're able to level up and show that you can help, and also, the truth is Jamie and I. What do we tell our kids when they're little? Like, you look for the helpers.
Right.
Where are the helpers?
Right.
For things that don't get talked about,
Yeah.
or the things that cause a lot of pain and stress, and yet get swept under a rug, and we air them all out.
And or we wait too long to deal with them, and it just gets exhausting. As you grow in your career.
Right. Right. And you mentioned that like everyone there's a snowflake. Like you work with every walk of life. Like
Yes.
and that's so interesting. I used to say
One of our clients right now is an executive, by the way, a man. It happens.
Yeah.
We do have clients that are not women.
Right.
In fact, many.
Yeah.
He is a salesperson, and he sells something that, he's in B2B in there's no other way to put it, but like hose parts.
Like parts
he's in
of a
like
hose.
plumbing supplies.
Okay.
But like in a B2B
The
very
point is,
large
we
way.
can help somebody like
So,
him,
like, the
and then also
manufacturing.
manufacturing
Yes,
B2B sales, but also our next call after him is a rising senior at Auburn.
Yeah.
So it's like every single person that we help comes to us for a different reason, and a lot of the times the client is the parent, right?
Yeah.
So speaking to this audience, if you have a student at home that you're starting to think of these things for, and you're like, I don't want to have to deal with that. Or you yourself are somebody that's looking for work or plan to be looking for work in some way, whether it's to start your own thing or to look for something new. And by the way, we tell people all this all the time. The last thing you want is for somebody to come to you and say, I need your resume, and then you don't have one. So like, even if you're happy at work, it's good to have a
Yes.
resume.
Oh, yeah.
Because the things that you're doing every day and the nuances of your job, you'll forget. So like, just write it down. Use notes on your app on your phone to like remember who you are, because when you have to articulate that one day, which it will come, you'll forget. And so part of what we preach is that proactivity, that this is a living, breathing process that does not need to happen only when you're looking for work, but most of the
Networking the
time,
most when you need it the least.
network the most when you need it the least, is what we say all the
And
time.
and really, some of the things that we've been saying for decades under all different hats, and they never really lose their luster. But yes, being prepared, having your tools ready and sharpened, knowing that your tool is not just done and then dead. It's a living, breathing document that you add to, that you massage, that you utilize. I think, interestingly enough, like when I was working with designers for many years, designers, if you're a fashion designer or a graphic designer or a designer of any kind, and even interior, you have to keep up a portfolio that's modern, right? And in order to stay current, you have to keep contributing to that portfolio.
Or you
so
might
that
need to learn a new program.
Right, so that you can showcase your skills. Now, what's interesting about a designer is if you work corporate anything you're designing in corporate is proprietary to that organization. So not only are you designing for your company, but you're not necessarily going to be able to show that in your portfolio. So you're going to have to create in your portfolio a version of what you're creating that doesn't belong to the company that you work for. So designers, although not natural salespeople, are very natural at staying very on top of their documents or their things that make them them.
Okay.
Where the rest of us get stale. By the way, ask me to make a resume, and guess who would be caught with their pants down? Because I haven't.
Good thing we're not looking for a job.
Good. I haven't looked. I've been working for myself for years, so
Right.
I'm very aware of that triple standard. And because I'm the type of salesperson I am, I made myself a resume not too long ago.
Oh, wow.
And because I like to make sure that I practice what I preach, we work on updating our LinkedIn all the time. And when I see something, like we saw something on our website the other day that was not
Clear.
and we're like, how did that happen? So we have to fix it,
Yeah.
right? There are things that you have to pay attention to these things.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay attention, it just kind of builds. It's like one problem after the next. And if you find yourself unemployed, it really, for lack of a better way, powers a person down.
Yeah.
And it is hard to do, but it's not impossible. So, for instance, and Jamie always makes very good analogies, but I think, when you clean out that linen closet and you organize the sheets and the towels, I mean, no one likes does anyone really know how to do a fitted sheet? You might. You're good at a
Not
fitted
great,
sheet.
no.
Okay. But there's certain things in all of our repertoires that are just not amazing. And I would say Jamie and I provide services for the non-amazing things.
Right.
The things that are very difficult for people to do, that are emotional, that do trigger a lot of feelings. Sometimes you talk to somebody that worked in a company and they say, I'm not even interested in this. I'm never doing it again. I don't want to work in this. And they're so shut down. And we'll get them to the point where, have you ever interviewed at a different firm doing what you know how to do?
Right.
And I get them to think about that, because sometimes it's just the people around you, right? There's all sorts of prescriptions, if you will, for each puzzle of a person. And there's no puzzle that's too challenging. And if there is, we refer out.
Yeah.
So if anybody that's listening, local or not, feels like they could use a helping hand, we're here for you. And we are really no care if you are just graduating, looking for, by the way, parents that want your kids to have an internship their junior year, come to me now. Come to us now. This is the now time. So if you're a junior and senior, they're going to go back to school right now. Give them a month. Get off their back. Let them get settled, see their friends, do the things that we still miss, okay?
Right.
And then, ideally we would have a call or two with them before the new year. And then we would be really working with them from January, February, and March. That's the type of thing that we want to get out into the community. If you want to get on our calendar for that, get to us now so we can schedule it.
Okay.
Also, then it's scheduled. Like a doctor's appointment 6 months out.
Right.
It's scheduled. It's there. You already did the good energy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be panicked.
Right.
It doesn't have to be reactive. It could be proactive. We can do 1 or 2 calls ahead and set their tone. Then they don't have to feel anxious.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And if you are employed and thinking about change, or if you have recently been laid off and feel overwhelmed, reach out. Get on our calendar. Our consults are a variety of what you just listened to. They are free. We spend way too much time on them, something we're working on. So you'll get a gift of special time with both Jamie and I, most of the time actually. And then we figure out what to do next together. And last but not least, obviously we talked about money being important before. I think it's important to be authentic here. We are cost efficient. If you're looking for work, we can't be expensive. So we priced ourselves in the categories of regular self-care.
Okay.
So if you are getting your hair done and that's essential to you, you can find room for Jamie and myself.
As we complimented your hair color
yes.
before this.
And also, we never want people to not be able to work with us because of money.
Okay.
So we come up with
Ways.
crafty ways of dividing a quarter 6 different times.
Okay.
To make sure that anyone that walks through our virtual or in-person doors feels comfortable, supported, and able to be successful with our help.
That's great, because I think so many come to you at a time where they're just down, right? Like down on their luck, so to speak, right? And not in an opportunity, or maybe they are, but in a frame of mind where
They want to spend extra money.
They want to spend extra money. Yeah, for sure. But
I think as a last kind of thought on that, I think we don't want anyone to ever feel like we're the last resort. Mm-hmm. Like they're like throwing in the towel and now they're going to hire a job search strategist. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? A lot of people
Come
are
to
like,
us first.
A lot of people are like, oh, I can do that without help, and you might be able to.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're trying to do is change the way people look for work. You don't have to do this alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you?
Best place to find us is on Instagram it's actually _ the Dreamcatchers, but also our website, which is thedreamcatchers.life, which when we purchased it, we were like, what's .life? And then we were like, I actually love that because
someone just recently wrote me that they loved
that our website is .life.
Yeah, that it just
we couldn't get the Dreamcatchers.com for some reason. They're actually a hair extension company that we ironically use for our streaking event in October when we do a big event for breast cancer awareness, and that's not related to us at all, but it was just random. So we couldn't get the Dreamcatchers.com, I think, and when we got .life, we just thought it was very apropos for what we do. So it's the Dreamcatchers.life.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for
You'll have to
having
come
us.
back and we'll talk about, dig deeper into the teen world and college recruiting and jobs and all of that, because I think there's so much valuable information.
Absolutely. Anytime you guys want to ask us questions, by the way, I'm going to be a live action customer soon. I'm on this journey. I mean, I'm in SAT world, like I'm in it.
Yeah.
Now, it'll be a fine line between SAT and auditions.
Yes.
So I'm going to be very busy the next couple of years, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be kind of lonely.
Yeah,
So-
but they come back and it's fine.
I hope so. I think mine's ready to launch.
Yeah,
she's ready to rock.
I got my other one, but mine's ready. If she could move to LA yesterday, she would have gone in 7th grade already. I've been holding her back, I think.
Someone recently just asked me. She has a son going away to school next week, and she was asking about my stepdaughter, and then I said, "Are you sad?" And she said, "No, I'm ready for him to go."
Yeah.
I was like cracking up.
You know what? It's only when people can actually say truth sometimes.
It's true.
You know what? Listen, I've been fortunate. We sent our kids. Jamie actually went to sleepaway camp the last few summers, but I've sent my kids away, which I believe is a gift that I did not have and probably would have benefited from, because I had a very difficult time transitioning to being not at home, as many people do. And my kids have gone away for a month every summer, and I do think that helps.
Yeah.
I think it's a very big difference going away and coming home versus going away and maybe not coming home.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, if she ends up in LA, oops, I have to get an apartment out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's
right.
I have to figure out how to make that work.
Yes.
It sounds terrible. I can't figure it out. I'll miss my sister, but there I'll be in Manhattan Beach gallivanting around. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, there's so much more fun in life to be had with your kids at post 18.
Well, I love that you are. One of my favorite things about you, and then we'll really go, is that you meet motherhood in a couple of different places.
You do.
And I love that because you have the age differences.
Yeah, it's perspective, and I try not to be too like I know. I don't ever think I know better because I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. But like that.
None of us do.
Yeah.
That. I know because I've been there.
Yeah,
whatever.
you just wait.
Just wait.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's true. I mean, just wait. Well, yeah. Or they say the bigger the age, the bigger the problem. It's very true. I would go back to toddler anytime.
I just said this to a friend yesterday. She's like, I would love to be potty training right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, would you
right.
I don't think I would go there
Yeah,
specifically, but when you see the little one walking and they're just so delicious and cute, that's why I think,
I go back for a day.
Yeah, I say that all the time. One of my superpowers I would want is to go back for a day.
You'll do the very, very good-looking Monmouth grandmas.
Yeah.
So we'll leave with this, and that is that there are, I think one of the benefits of social media is that it highlights so many things that maybe were taboo or were not talked about or weren't commonplace to speak about, and it's highlighting now where like women are going into, kind of women that are on social media are aging, right?
Yeah.
And talking about things that I guess like you didn't even think of, and such a focus and a culture on youth and stuff. So one of the things that I think is interesting and changing, and you touched on that earlier about how 50 is not old, right? And that there is so much more life to discover and really like dive into post your kids being little, and that women, are facing things, and you're always a mother, but I think you really kind of go into womanhood more once like your kids are grown. And I'm working on something for that. So
I love it.
Ooh, there's always something up your sleeve.
I love it.
So so stay tuned. But I'm working at very early stages. But yeah, there's so much more conversation to be had about different generations of your life, right? Like what or for different generations. So so thank you anyway for coming on.
Thanks for
and,
making time for us, everybody, and
yes.
for listening. And if you have any questions, you know where we are. Thank you, Kate. I love working with you.
Aw,
Yeah, this
me
was
too.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.